Varmint, a family tale. We Woods are expected to make our first kill by age 8. My little brother is hiding under the porch of our family's cabin in Tahlequah, Missouri, giggling and playing with the bugs he finds there. His birthday is tomorrow. For the last few minutes, I've been leaning against the side of the cabin, listening to my brother laugh and shuffle in the dirt. His form is still visible through the lattice at the bottom of the porch. The thin strips of wood have gone brittle and gray. Most of it Grandpa has now attached to the railing with fishing line and bits of wire. Will, I say. His movement stops, but I can still hear him. William, I say again. A bright orange mop of hair pokes through the large gap in the lattice, and he climbs out. Covered in mud and clay, he stands in front of me, eyes downcast, his hands now behind him. What do you have? Will holds out one of his fists and then turns it over and opens it. Worms. A pink squirming mass wiggles in place while some fall to the ground. Just put them back. He turns and gently places the worms back in their cool soil under the porch. Here, I hold the squirrel out to him. So he and it are face to face when he turns and back to face me. He stumbles back, looks at the squirrel, then at me. Take it, I say. I shove the limp body into his chest. My brother takes the squirrel from my grip and cradles it close to him. Long yellowed teeth jut out from the critter's slightly open mouth as it lays stomach up in my brother's arms. It's still warm, he says. Quiet and scared, bringing the squirrel's body closer to him with each breath. Come on. I adjust the rifle on my shoulder, and we walk to the large oak tree at the bottom of the yard. Will's footsteps are slow and small behind me. The damp blades of grass pass against the soles of my boots, making the rubber squeak and my ears twitch. Under the oak tree is Grandpa's skinning table. What was once smooth pine is now seeped in blood, guts, piss, and shit. Worn from Ozark weather, it slants slightly down and to the left. I pull out the rinsing bucket I had filled earlier and the apple crate from under the table. I take the rodent's body out of Will's careful holding and place it on the table, face up, spread eagle, and I make my brother stand on top of the apple crate. Taking out my skinning knife from its sheath on my holster, I hand it to my brother. You haven't killed it yet, but you at least need to know how to skin something before tomorrow. Gingerly, he takes the knife from my hands when Grandpa's voice booms from behind us, Varmint! My brother almost drops the knife and begins to cry. Varmints. That's what Grandpa called us as we ran barefoot through the 5-acre lot, chiggers burrowing under the skin of our feet and calves. Nasty little varmints, he'd yell out from the porch, grinning from ear to ear, full of pride and Jack Daniels mixed with orange juice. We had turned fast, sneaky, and adaptable. But my brother... Smart little fuckers they are, Grandpa says, now coming toward us from the back of the house. He picked up the rodent's body, and in 1, 2, 3 cuts, he had the hide clean off. Grandpa dropped the meat into the fresh water bucket and laid the skin out to dry. With his more bloodied hand, Grandpa cups my brother's chin almost gently and makes their eyes meet. My brother starts to cry again, but Grandpa holds his chin through the quivering. You be a varmint, you hear? You take food that ain't yours if you need it. You boot someone else out their house if you gotta, and by God you run at hell like any pecker trying to get what's yours. The smell of him was making up my head swim in the thick summer air. You lie, cheat, steal, I don't fucking care what, but you survive. Grandpa hands this hand, sticky with blood and bits of fur, move up to brush his hair out of my brother's eyes and cup my brother's cheek, his thumb wiping away a splatter of blood that had rested there. You take them all out if you have to. My brother uses his forearm to wipe away some snot from his nose. Go on inside and clean yourself up. My brother races past me, not caring where his bloody hands touch, on the rails, on the screen door, me. He just wants to get some soap and a sink. I was still standing there, staring at the lifeless body still stretched out in the rinsing bucket. He ain't no survivor, my grandpa says, spitting into the cloth for more cleaning power. But he's a Woods, and your brother. His eyes finally meet mine, and you remember that. He went inside.